We bought this house for $490,000. That's a lot of money, but we're thinking we can sell it for $830,000. This is a fix and flip, and we're investing $165,000 into it. Today we're showing you the inside of the house. You won't believe what we saw. We're also exposing the top myths we've believed about flipping houses, which can cost you thousands of dollars if you're not careful. First, if you didn't know, house flipping is not investing and not passive.
We are always out at these properties, or at least I am, and it's very active. So you're always checking in on projects. You're always maybe sometimes getting materials, finding contractors. You're always doing something. So it's very far from passive. It is a lot more hands-on than we actually realized, but it's a lot of fun for me. At the beginning, I didn't think that I would be out in the field as much as I am, but now after being in it for a little bit, we realized that it takes a lot of you being actually at the houses, at the properties, checking in on the projects, making sure they're going as planned, everything is correct. It's a lot of like staying on top of contractors, making sure that they're doing their job, staying on top of subcontractors while the contractor's either not there or whatever the case may be, making sure that everyone is doing their job correctly. As you guys can see, I really like this house because it sits like at the top of the hill. This area here is also pretty crazy. We're next to Whole Foods, Kava. We're right down the road from Mr. Tokyo, a really good sushi spot that we love to eat at. Just flooring, paint, and then light. Yep. And then receptacle and switches. We keep all these doors. We purchased this property, $490,000. We're putting about $165,000 into it, and ARV on it. It appraised with our lender for $865,000 after being repaired. So we'll see what happens. It's a 5-bed, 3-bath, but we're gonna make it into a 4-bed, 3-bath. But we're looking to get an estimate pretty much on all the work that we're looking to do. We're getting different bids, so just trying to see who's gonna do the job for the price that we want them to. I would prefer to do as little as possible. One, cost, and two, you know, new concrete with old concrete, you'll be able to tell the difference. So if it's like all the way up to here, then half of it is new, half of it is old. But if it's just that entrance there, wouldn't be too bad. But what do you think? Misconception number 2, people think that you can just ignore, you know, codes, not pull permits or local regulations when you're flipping houses. Reality is, you know, a lot of people do get away with not pulling permits or not doing work correctly or whatever the case may be. But we've personally gotten, you know, stop work orders on deals that we started work on, haven't pulled permits on. So when you're doing specifically large projects like this, you want to make sure you're doing it correctly, pulling permits, because especially at this price point, buyers are very particular and they're going to ask about everything that's been done to the house, whether it was done correctly. Do you have engineer reports? Do you have permits? What was done? All of the items. So you just want to make sure you're doing everything to code and correctly. At this price point, it could be tempting to try, you know, to cut corners as far as like not pulling permits, but it could set you back if you get caught, or, you know, when you go to sell it, the buyer might be asking for engineer reports or permits, things like that. So you just want to get it done right the first time and not have to worry about it again. Yeah, garage. At least that's the thought. A lot of landscaping, obviously, because this is supposed to be like a path here. Yep. But it's just covered up. All of this is to tie into all of that, the time and effort it takes for each flip. It's possible to do this by yourself, but having a team really helps, because if it was just me doing it, it would be a lot just for one person, honestly. So I handle a lot of the stuff, construction side, but then I don't have to handle anything else and I can actually focus. But it does take up a lot of my time. I'm even working on Saturdays and Sundays for most of the time, checking on properties, sometimes last minute. So it is a lot more time and effort than I had anticipated, but it's a lot of fun, you know?
Wait, take this with you.
Y'all going with me?
I mean, from what the limited area I can see, a little bit of decking damage, and there's some black on the top of the rafter, but it's nothing really scary.
Other real estate strategies are passive for sure. Like, you can passively invest in deals, in flips, in rentals, in syndications like apartments, commercial, industrial. But this is not one of those. If you guys have any tips, any suggestions, or any ideas as to what we should do here, or what you guys think we should start using at our flips, please leave them down in the comments. We are always open to suggestions, trying to stay with trends. Leave us some tips. We would appreciate it. There's obviously the roof's leaking. I don't think there's like severe damage up there, but it was
decent sized leak, it seems like.
We just finished up at the Chapel Hill house, as we just showed you around. It is very bright, my apologies. But we're gonna go check out the Raleigh house and just check out, see if there's any updates or what's been done. Today's Friday, so not necessarily taking it light, but we're just checking in on projects.
¿Cómo estás, Te? Con permiso.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to go in there. So updates here, they've started painting on the outside and they're sanding the inside. So they've already mudded all the sheetrock and everything. So they're sanding it down, getting prepped for paint on the inside as well. So that's kind of what they're doing right now. We can't really go in there because there's a lot of dust and so it's hard to breathe. The next steps, they're gonna paint on the inside, then finishing touches like bathroom, kitchen cabinets, island, and then countertops, things like that. Misconception number 3, not getting a good inspection. I'm not a general contractor. I mean, I don't know a lot about construction. I know a decent amount to know when something looks wrong and when something needs to be fixed. But inspectors know what to look for when they're inspecting a house. So you should always get a good inspector to come out and inspect the house. Personally, we've came across properties and not inspected them with a good inspector, and when we went to sell it, we've came across issues like subfloor, joists, things that you can't really see unless you thoroughly inspect the property. So that is very key, and going forward, we will always get an inspection before buying a property so we know what we're going into when we're buying it.
Good.
This is our crawl space. We actually bought it like this, so it looks pretty clean. Usually they don't look like this. They look a lot messier, but this one was on market, so they had tightened up everything for the most part. Misconception number 4 is one size fits all or just cookie cutter design. You can have like different tiers for different ARVs or values that you're flipping, right? So if a property is going to be under 200,000, you can make it look like this. If it's going to be from 200,000 to like 400,000 or 500,000, you can make it look like this. And then from 400,000 or 500,000 to like 1,000,000 or 800,000, whatever you choose, you can make it look like this. But at every different like ARV level, there's a different, obviously, buyer, different finishes, higher end or lower end items. So there isn't just one size fits all for all of the properties that you end up flipping. There's always a little bit different depending on the ARVs of the property and what comps in the area are currently selling for and what they look like. Misconception number 5, over renovating or overdoing the look of the property when you're renovating. When we're doing these flips, we're not just going out on a whim and just choosing whatever material, you know, choosing whatever to renovate. We're always looking at the comps because the comps are dictating based on the price and what they look like. They're dictating what we're gonna do to our property. Now, if we see the comps, you know, they have new cabinets, but maybe for mica countertops, we might choose a little bit of wiggle room in the budget to go granite, right? So that we can make it look slightly better, but we're not gonna go in there, do custom cabinets with marble countertops and marble backsplash if the comps are selling in as is or whatever, you know? So that's misconception number 5. Don't overdo it. Misconception number 6, when we're doing flips, is underestimating holding costs and time. So holding costs include property taxes, insurance, payment to the lender, or I mean, if you bought it cash, then obviously you have none. Utilities like water, sewer, electricity, gas, etc. So just any costs while you're renovating that are not actual renovation costs. Sometimes these projects take significantly longer than you would think. When we're using hard money, it costs us a lot more the longer we hold it. So make sure you're putting in a good buffer for holding costs. That's what we always do. We always try to make sure we have more money. We underwrite that it's going to take us longer than we actually believe it'll take us. So that way we're not in trouble if it takes longer. Misconception number 6. We always try to make sure, and this kind of ties into the last point, we always try to make sure that we don't underestimate the timeline, because a lot of people tend to underestimate the timeline. When we start the renovation process and we start opening walls or opening the subfloor, we always find things that delay us. And then also when you're pulling permits, we start depending on other people, right? So inspectors, subcontractors, re-inspections if needed for our timeline. So we always try to make sure that we're building in enough timeline in our underwriting and don't underestimate what it's actually probably going to take us. Hey guys, so we ended up coming to Starbucks. Jeff's beside me. We're about to have our meeting. But misconception number 8, guys, on HGTV, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably enjoy watching HGTV. It actually glamorizes flipping houses, and it makes it seem a lot easier, and it makes it seem like all you can do is make money. But in reality is you can very easily lose money. So you guys have to be making sure that you're doing everything correctly. And even then, you could potentially break even or lose money. There could potentially be some factors out of your control, and things just happen. Although, like I said, you have to make sure you're being careful. You can still flip houses and be very profitable. We know a lot of people that are making tons of money, and they're able to do, donate to charity, help out their church, things of that nature from that business, and they're now able to have more time within their life to do other things that they like to do. So it's definitely worthwhile, but again, just got to do it very carefully. That's going to wrap up today's video. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in. If you have any questions, please like or leave a comment down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll call it a day. Peace.